Hi, welcome to Brady's Blunders, where I share the mistakes in my games, hoping you don't make the same ones in yours. I mentioned in the last video that I was going to start playing again, and I have. And I've played 4 games since then, and it's not gone well. I've played 4, won 1, 2 of which were really quite bad, and today's was awful for another reason. I had a good game, and then my opponent plonked a stone inside my area and said, "Here, kill me." And there was probably 50 possible variations, 30 of which just yield straight death, 19 of which yielded death through Ko, which would have been good enough in this game, and then 1 of which he lives. Guess which one I found? Not good. All right. Let's get into today's game. And actually, this one will be good for a few videos. And I chose this one, I chose it from the archives because none of the new ones are worthy. But I chose this from the archives for a good reason. And the theme of these videos is going to be how to win a 1 game. And the way I'll explain it is by showing how to lose a 1 game, which is what I managed to do. And I had a great opening, and then things really fell apart. And I mean, it had misreads, it had everything, but what really is most important is I was wrong up here. I didn't think about it right. And as I review this game, I'm like, oh wow, that's good stuff. And I need to remember this way of thinking, and hopefully it can be helpful to you as well. But this first video, I'm going to talk about a joseki. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more than I do many of them. And I'm going to do it because this is a joseki that I see people play wrong all the time. So it's worthy. And as a matter of fact, it's when my opponent made a mistake in this joseki that I gained the advantage. All right, so I'm white, and I've just played this 2-space high pincer. And black played this very normal response. And you can guess which joseki I'm talking about now. I played on top, black turned, and I played here, black pushed here, and I extended, or I jumped, black played here, I connected, black pushed, and I played here. So this is all very normal, right? This is what we play all the time. And then black played here, which is again very normal. You see this? I mean, this is, I think, the variation that we see the most. But I think a lot of people play this as black without realizing the danger they're in. And this can be very, very tricky. So I'm going to show you some of the variations and how to think about them. But I'm going to start off by showing if you don't want to have to deal with all these variations, you can play this. And this isn't played so much by pros anymore, but for years and years and years, this was played by pros and considered an even result. So in an amateur game, you're not going to go wrong by playing this, and the same tricks that white can play don't work against this move. This move settles everything and makes it pretty safe and easy. So if you don't know the variations from the extension, or you don't want to know the variations from the extension, just play this. It's good enough. All right. So the first thing to know about this move as black is you can only play this if the ladder is good for you. And I'll show the ladder in just a few minutes, but basically these 2 stones get caught in the ladder and forced out this way, right? But you can see that right now they're running towards black, so the ladder is good. So that condition is met for black to play this variation. All right. If the ladder is bad and you play white, you just jump in right away, cut, and you're going to win the game. It's that simple. And so this is very much worth remembering. Even if you don't want to play this variation as black, it's to know this variation is white, where if this ladder is bad for black, just cut. Don't even think too much about it. But I'd actually say that even if the ladder isn't good for white, so black is safe in the ladder, this is still a good play for white and very, very common. And this is actually what I played in the game. So the ladder's not good, but I played it. So black Ataris this way and descends, and then white plays this way. Should I explain? The joseki is this, and I'll show that. But first, if black plays this move, this is generally very bad, and white can punish it by playing like this, and it involves a lot of crawling. If black answers one more time, then white can come here, and this black corner is completely dead. So this would be great for white. And perhaps on this board, black wouldn't answer one more time and would go ahead and try to find some way to live. But even still, when white plays this, he's going to be cutting black up into weak groups, and the game should still be pretty good for white. So when you're cut this way, don't play this. And if your opponent plays this, remember this move. Okay, so instead of this, black plays this, white descends, black plays this way, white extends, black connects. And this is all very normal. Now white cuts. And if the ladder is bad for black, he's in deep trouble because one of these two groups is going to die. But if the ladder is good, then black can take the time to go ahead and help the group on the left. White plays this way, black plays this way, and you can see that the ladder isn't working for black right now. But so even when the ladder is bad, this is still a really interesting variation for white. And even if he ends up giving up these 6 stones, that's okay, because white's going to get forcing moves on the outside, or be able to create complications, or be able to make white come back and pick up these stones, which is kind of nice. So it's not as big as it looks, and it's playable. Okay, so black's just made himself safe over here. And this is actually good enough to capture white. So what can white do? Well, white has a few options. Now, before I discuss those options, let me just say that my teacher is probably going to watch this video and tell me, you can't post this, you made mistakes. And it's true. There are so many ways to go wrong with this joseki, and there are so many variations that it's really, really easy to make mistakes. And there's probably pros who don't know every variation, and certainly most amateurs won't know every variation. So as white, here's how I would think about it. And that is, as your first option, you can go ahead and tanuki. Right? You could just play somewhere else, and that's fine. There's just all kinds of nasty aji here that you don't need to play right away. But if that's not interesting, one thing that an interesting shape that you can try is this, although it depends on outside shape. And this is just one of the things, the reason I'm showing this variation is it's something that black needs to be very wary of. If white plays like this, and then black goes ahead and Ataris this stone, well, he's just committed suicide. He's now caught in a net. So this would be a disaster. So don't do that as black. But black can play this way. White will push up, black extends, and white still has this ladder. Well, that's no good for him right now. But white also has a ladder here. And unfortunately for white, it doesn't quite work because he ends up capturing his own stone, and black is going to be okay. But what makes that really interesting is that if white gets another stone, and let's call this the next option, if white gets another stone around here, all of a sudden this ladder works. So if white plays this and black goes ahead and ignores it and plays something like this, now all of a sudden black is again in deep, deep trouble, because now this ladder works and black is going to lose the game. So this is what I mean, again, by there are a lot of tricky variations you need to know before you play C18, because your opponent might know them. So even this is a perfectly valid answer for white. White can go ahead and play a ladder breaker. Right? It's absolutely urgent for black to answer right away because if he doesn't, he's going to get caught in a ladder and cry. So game would be over. So white can gain a local advantage on the other side of the board with various ladder breakers. Okay, so I didn't play any of those options. I didn't tanuki. I didn't make shape on the top, which turns out is sente. I didn't do a ladder breaker, which could have been useful. But instead, I played a variation which starts to take away black's liberties. Now this is fine if black answers correctly, but in our game, black made a mistake. So I played this way, black this way, and I played this way. So black played here, which is fine. I threw in, and at this point, black should capture. And as I said, black is going to win the race. If white goes ahead and blocks this way, black can connect. If white makes an eye like this, black is still going to win the liberty race. And this turns out to be true over and over. If white goes ahead and plays a move like this, then black can just take away that space there, and he's going to win the liberty race. If white tries to start a ko, so black can just play here. And again, this is going to work. White can't connect here. If white connects here, black can just fill this. And he's going to have enough liberties to go ahead and win the race. So at any rate, the point is, if black plays correctly, he wins by exactly 1 liberty. After I threw in, black went ahead and played this throw-in up here. And it turns out that's a pretty bad mistake. I picked it up, and then black picked this up, and I played here. So now as you look at the board, as you look at the situation locally, black can't capture these stones straight up from this side, right? Because if he plays moves, I get to play moves on the outside as well, and you can see that the best he can do is a ko. Additionally, although he took away a liberty here, but now for black to ever be able to fill from this side, it's going to take some serious help to this group to be able to fill this without dying, much less fill this and fill this. So even though black took away a white liberty with this move, he actually gave white more liberties. And as I mentioned, that black should win this race by exactly 1 liberty. That's no longer the case because of this throw-in up here. All right, so black decided to connect out, and I said, okay. And here's where I made my first mistake. And we talked about this in another recent video. I went and played this. Now this is a thank you move. I thought I was just making shape with these stones, but in reality, I'm helping black link up. So this is just a bad exchange that wasn't needed. Not the end of the world, but could be big at some point. And then I decided to go ahead and kill the corner. So I did this, and black realized that ko was his only option. So then I played here, and black started the ko. But I had a perfect local ko threat right here. And yeah, black's got no choice but to answer this one. So then I recaptured. And then black played this ko threat here. So now you're white, and this is the game problem. Where would you play next? Black's played this as a ko threat, and it's your move. Go ahead and pause if you like. Right. I played here, which was wrong. And I'll try to make it clear soon why it was wrong. All right. So black went ahead and played another ko threat, and I figured that if I played a ko threat like this, black might even ignore that. This ko is really, really huge. the way it stands right now, if black wins the ko, he's capturing 8 of my stones, and plus a couple more points in there. So plus, say, 16 for him. And if I capture it, 4, 7, 8, I'm capturing 8 of his, and plus a couple more spaces. So 16 points there. So 16 and 16 is 32. This is a huge ko. It's at least 30 points. And so I decided to go ahead and play a ko threat he couldn't ignore, and to play this bad ladder. Black, of course, extended, and then I took the ko. And then black played here. And again, I wanted to make sure that my group was going to be okay, and I didn't want to lose to this group, so I answered, and black retook the ko. So I decided, once again, that my best ko threat was going to be to play this bad ladder, which, of course, black answered. I took the ko, and then black chose to descend. And at this point, I was like, okay, I think this is good enough. If I let black play locally, he's going to live, but I'm going to be all right. So I decided to go ahead and win the ko. Black captured here, and I connected, and then black played here, making a living shape. In the meantime, I've made 2 bad exchanges. I exchanged A for B and C for D. And the reason I did that was to gain some shape on the bottom and feel pretty safe. And I decided that with this ladder capture, I was safe. So mission accomplished, right? But who got the better of this deal? With this A for B, C for D exchange, for me for getting some shape here, and him getting life. Well, it turns out this is actually a little bit better for black. So let's and the way black showed it, it was to immediately cut. It was to say your exchange of A for B created a cutting point in your shape, and I'm going to go ahead and start fighting you right away. All right, so let's back up and see what I should have played. So when it turns out that when black played his very first threat, it's not that big a deal. And for me to gain 30-something points at the top, it's absolutely worth my going in and saying, I'm going to let you gain a little bit here, and just end the ko right away. If black decides to take away the same moves that I played, right, then I can go ahead and try to connect underneath, and black has to make an ugly empty triangle shape to keep me separated. I can play a forcing move like this and come out. So you can see I've already got some eye shape, and I have outside access, and I'm sort of linking up with these stones over here. So this result is good enough, certainly good enough, considering the great result in the upper left. Oh, and as a fringe benefit, this black group isn't completely alive, like I made him do with the exchange of ko threads. So this would have been much, much better. All right, I haven't looked at the time, but I think today's lesson is a long one. So let's go back into what to learn from it. And if we go back to the beginning, this can be a great move if you know the variations. If you don't know the variations, it can be a complete disaster. So I would recommend, until you know the moves, this is a lot safer and still pretty good. And if you want to play this, you're going to have to learn some variations. So that's thing 1. And then thing 2 is, oh yeah, no thank you moves, don't do those. But the real thing 2 is when your opponent makes a ko threat like this, go ahead and really read the results. If his ko threat's going to kill you, yeah, go ahead and answer. But if his ko threat just gives him a local advantage or a slightly better result than you would otherwise get, don't worry about it. Capture that huge ko and worry about the other part later. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly learned something as I went through it again. But my bigger education comes in the next videos. Again, as I completely screw up my thinking and how to win a one game.